but these guys are in, which means finals have indeed started.
Oh boy, let's go Talwinv with that 𝗂𝗃𝗃. Let's go.
Yeah,
It's
you
time.
know, maybe we were foreshadowing it a little bit. We said, hey, we know Blue's favorite Temtems are Crystal Temtems, and there happens to be one 𝗬𝗃𝗃𝗃, and it made it all the way to the finals. So, hey,
I
Blue,
bet
you
it
might have
was.
manifested it here.
Bruh! Bruh! What is this?
Well, hey, 𝗬𝗏 or not, 𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃 is such a force to be reckoned with. You got the hook kicks for the 𝗬𝗵𝗆, for the 𝗂𝗏. You got the crystal bites for the 𝗬𝗵𝗆, 𝗧𝗲𝗺𝗺. Nah, guys, it literally checks like 6 Temtems on Mr. Redmoon's side. So you can't blame him for wanting to ban it. So fair enough for him. Let's see how it gets things started, though.
I mean, my caster side and analyzing side says, yeah, that makes sense. 𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃 literally like deals with half his team. My Sapphire side says, bruh, I just wanted to see a 𝗂𝗃𝗃 this game.
Very
Come on,
true.
man. But yeah, in all seriousness, 𝗂𝗃𝗃 is way too strong to be left alive here. It is so good into this team. It's such a good splash pick, and you know, with that melee typing, with that crystal typing, shuts down. I mean, as you mentioned, literally, I mean, I think almost everything barring the 𝗬𝗵𝗆, 𝗬𝗏𝗃, and the 𝗬𝗺𝗺. I mean, 𝗬𝗺𝗺 in itself is an original classic. Speaking of which, is picked up here by Mr. Redmoon. 𝗧𝗲𝗺𝗃𝗃𝗃 is an interesting double choice here about Talwinv. Of course, the 𝗧𝗲𝗺 as well, sort of sustainable. Of course, the 𝗬𝗺𝗺 will be trying to keep it in check. I believe that's anaerobic, so yeah, we'll for sure be able to just poke at this Nox for a little bit. The 𝗬𝗏𝗃 as well, I don't think I've seen it madness. I don't think I've seen 𝗬𝗏𝗃 madness off too much, or maybe just because of early tempo pressure, maybe I haven't seen it as often. But the 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃 will potentially be a threat if it does get some damage off, but most likely be a swap out. Turn 1, doesn't want to get Toxic into play and just die right away here.
Yeah, you know, if he had some damage to put back, it would be another story. But in this situation, he's not really going to do too much onto either Temtem. So yeah, looking at a potential swap out, even though Redmoon might just be working with the reactive Vow, nah, guys. So, you know, he could stay in, right? Toxic Ink would go first. That would trigger the reactive Vial. That way the Plague won't be double damage. So, you know, he could stay in if he kind of does the math, and if he's able to two-shot something like a Beta Burst Feather Gatling, if that brings 𝗧𝗏𝗺𝗃𝗃 to the perfect Feather Gatling range for turn 2, that's the only reason you would want to leave in this Nah, guys. But yeah, I'm right there with you, Blue. I believe Nah, guys is going to be swapping out. Maybe something like that 𝗬𝗏𝗃 that was just picked up is kind of likely. But okay, a little aggressive Temtems for the side of Talwinv. Tokon and the 𝗬𝗏𝗃 will be picked up. Same will be done for Redmoon though. So 𝗬𝗏𝗃, I believe 𝗬𝗏𝗃 is 100% on everyone's team, which is exactly why a lot of people consider it S tier right now.
For sure, 𝗬𝗏𝗃 so good in a lot of situations. Just the electric nature typing, really solid. But yeah, 𝗬𝗵𝗆 𝗧𝗏𝗺𝗃 versus that. I almost said 𝗵𝗐𝗃, but no, that's a 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗃 and a 𝗬𝗺𝗺 here. So yeah, we'll have to see how this plays out. Both sides have a decent shot at well, either way, you know, pushing for a turn 1 or turn 2 play here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hey, that 𝗬𝗏𝗺 kind of scary as well. Without this 𝗬𝗵𝗆, if Redmoon is able to do anything to that 𝗬𝗵𝗆, 𝗬𝗏𝗺 looking kind of good. You got big Thunderstrike damage on the Tokon, on the mix, and of course, those big old fire tornadoes for the 𝗬𝗏𝗃 could be a difference maker down the road. But of course, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. 𝗬𝗵𝗆, easier said than done. I mean, maybe that's the reason you keep it. Nah, guys, just a Beta Burst Feather Gatling. That should bring 𝗬𝗵𝗆 down to like 40-30%. Or maybe like 40 to 50% most likely. So let's see. Does this 𝗬𝗐𝗃, as you said, want to stay in? I don't think he dares go for Madness buff. I believe we can cross that off the table. He either just wants to stay in for damage or just has to swap out to something like that 𝗬𝗏𝗃. Doesn't feel all that bad.
Yeah, for sure. Beta Burst will be committed though, so turn 1 play here coming out for the side of Redmoon, Toxic Ink, though, going to trade, and this is what I'm concerned about. A play, double up, will secure the kill, but the Reactive Vial gonna protect it for at least a turn. But if this 𝗬𝗶𝗴 has handcuffs, this Reactive Vial will be literally for naught. Like, this will just get purged, and in fact it does. It just gets absolutely wiped, and this 𝗧𝗏 is, 𝗧𝗏 is guaranteed dead.
Yeah, guaranteed indeed. One toxic tick from this 𝗧𝗏𝗺 will be enough. But you know, we were just saying, if you take down the 𝗬𝗶𝗴, that 𝗧𝗏𝗺 looking a whole lot better. So hey, respect to Redmoon recognizing that as early as turn 1, and 𝗬𝗶𝗴 on his way out. You know, a Psy Surge plus another Feather Gatling, or maybe just the Psy Surge alone will be enough. And Talwinv might just have to swap things out. So what can 𝗬𝗶𝗴 swap into? And it looks like a decision already made.
Yeah, for sure. The mix will be swapped in here. As I expected, really the only one that can take a Psy Surge to face and not get absolutely collapsed inwards, especially with the Feather Gatling to follow through. So decent chunk damage there, but definitely not going to compare to a guaranteed 𝗧𝗏𝗺 kill, and there it goes. So rest in pieces there. Mr. Redmoon already down. Straight up attempt. Perhaps thought the Vial was protected, but definitely not against the 𝗬𝗶𝗴 like that. You cannot expect that to hold. Maybe actually, he probably thought that the Plague would go and then Toxic Ink would go, but Talwinv making sure Nox was faster means it blocks Vial first and then Plague removes it. So perhaps something to note for the future. Mr. Redmoon can't really afford to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see it. Hey, good read for Mr. Redmoon there, knowing that the 𝗬𝗶𝗴 most likely swapping out, so kept things onto the 𝗧𝗏𝗺. And man, oh man, a Feather Gatling doing like 43%. That is massive. So just 2 more Feather Gatlings should get the job done. But you know, you want to be very careful. A lot of these 𝗧𝗏𝗺s have been running first aid kit. So you don't want to take it into the 25 just yet. 1 more Feather Gatling will take it to the 25%. So I don't know if he had one tempted to outspeed this 𝗬𝗏𝗺 and then get the Feather Gatling off. That would be most ideal. But either way, it looks like Talwinv not trying to stick around with his 𝗧𝗏𝗺. Instead, we'll bring the Tokon to really threaten out this 𝗧𝗏𝗺. But okay, a big Crystal Spike. And hey, 69 nice onto the 𝗬𝗏𝗺.
Feather Gatling to follow through, but the damage is very minimal here. Toxic Ink will do more, technically speaking, but still, the chip damage is, well, just that, chip damage here. Mr. Redmoon will be looking for a kill here, but of course, you know, if your Tems go below 50% on everybody, then you'll be looking at a lot of dead swaps. So Talwinv may have to start just sacking some Temtem rather than swapping them out consistently, because if you're low on everybody, it's not going to look pretty here. But of course, Tulkhan with Fire Soul will be able to pressure out this 𝗧𝗏𝗺, and the 𝗧𝗏𝗺 might be forced in because of this.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it is the best Temtem to eat a lot of those attacks. However, a Crystal Spike in that direction is still neutral damage. Of course, it's a Fire Temtem, but it's also an Electric Temtem, so it does connect neutrally. But that +1 special defense should go a long way. I believe it was only doing about 15%, or we'll see actually connecting on the bird instead, so bringing it down to that 38%. Fiery Soul, a little out of range. But with
wait, but it's gonna overexert.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
For sure. I mean, as you were about to say, but it kills itself through overexertion anyways. So it was committed. But yeah, I mean, the 𝗬𝗏𝗺 just gets picked off, and now Mr. Redmoon down 2 whole Tems, and this Tulkhan not done with it yet.
Yeah, there we go. So, hey, 𝗧𝗏𝗺 came in absolutely free. And, man, that is such a great tempting to the current board of Talwinv. A Thunder Strike onto the mix is going to be taking it not all the way down. Actually, that would probably put it into Puppet Master range, so wouldn't be too ideal. Might just be looking at that Tokon there. But, you know, it's on his way out. I don't think you want to waste that Thunder Strike. So, instead, Redmoon will bring in the 𝗧𝗏𝗺 back out, expecting, but geez, the Crystal Spike will go first. So Fire, 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴 did nothing.
God damn! Oh my God, Mr. Redmoon, the team is collapsing, and the 𝗬𝗶𝗴 is still in the back for the 𝗧𝗏𝗺. it is not looking pretty. It is looking ugly for Mr. Redmoon.
Yeah, absolutely devastating. At least a Plague, at least a Thunderstrike, but Redmoon tried to go with the normal prio. Did not think he would get outsped, but GG, Talwinv showing.
If Talwinv allows it to get banned, I believe was it a first pick plus, or am I wrong? I don't
𝗬𝗫𝗃?
Was the 𝗬𝗫𝗃, was the 𝗬𝗃 a first pick, or was it a second phase pick? I don't quite remember.
Yeah, I can't recall, a bit too many games today, but yeah, you know, I'm trying to think of the Temtem that single-handedly really did a number on Redmoon, and I can't just pinpoint it. I mean, everything did his job. The 𝗧𝗵𝗺𝗃 killed the Nagais, the Crystal Spike outspeeding the 𝗵𝗺𝗺. You don't see that all the time, so a lot of speed going invested onto Talwinv's Temtems. But yeah, the mix did a good number, the 𝗃𝗀 did a good number, so I don't know if you could just pinpoint exactly to one Temtem. I think overall, Talwinv just did a really great job. But let's see, maybe Redmoon knows, I mean, he was the one in the seat, so let's see what he decides was that biggest threat after going through a game 1 with Talwinv.
I mean, I think the biggest thing to acknowledge is what happened in that turn 1. Naga literally instantly died, and that was because, again, Mr. Redmoon did not expect Toxic to go before playing and proc the Vial and then lose it right away. You know, that was probably the biggest loss there from Mr. Redmoon. But actually, Talwinv, knowing that Mr. Redmoon knows now that he can pull that off, just bans Naga. He doesn't want to let that through at all because the gig is up. You know, the jig is up. He knows that Talwinv can counter Reactive Vial just from purely toxicking its Plague.
Yeah, we'll see. So who does Mr. Redmoon want to start us off with? And alright, the Valorant does get picked up. And hey, Blue, isn't it crazy? You know, the meta, 𝗬𝗵𝗃 meta started off. There were so many experimentations, so many electric Temtems in the meta. Valorant wasn't really too happy about that. But now that the meta kind of settled down, you know, things like 𝗂𝗀𝗇, things like Ragnet falling a little bit to the wayside. So now Valorant can truly thrive, and it's back. It's back better than ever. Special attack meta really favoring this anaerobic Valorant. And you know, we're seeing a double anaerobic bird in the finals today. So yeah, maybe Valorant making us say like, hey, I'm still part of the Fantastic Four. Maybe not so much, but still solid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you can't just get rid of the prince of the F4, you know? Like, I mean, if Gals was the king and, like, Kinu was, like, I guess, the quote-unquote queen, right? Valorant was definitely the prince of that pack. Absolutely just consistent, an absolute monster of consistency, especially since both traits are viable. I mean, to this day, both traits are still viable, so, absolutely. I'm not surprised Valorant managed to shimmy its way back into the game. That's what you get for being consistent. I feel like consistency is very underrated when it comes to how strong you are as a Temtem, because if you fly under the radar just enough that you never get nerfed, that's when you're a good Temtem. Or at least the nerfs are minimal, right? That's when you know you're a good Temtem. When the nerfs don't kill you, like straight up. So
yeah, and
for sure.
I do remember, man, it was like a little slight HP nerf or something of the like. I can't remember exactly how he got touched.
Yeah, so it was a slight HP nerf and then indirect stamina nerf because of the changes, and then they nerfed HKS, the stamina cost, but that was mostly for all the birds. Yeah, and the speed changes, of course, affected the Valorant. So again, most of the time, Valorant got indirectly nerfed because of everything else. I mean, maybe HKS was the only direct one I can really remember. But barring that, again, Valorant has mostly been untouched directly. No stat mods, really. So, still really solid.
Yeah, and hey, solid. It was the 𝗂𝗃 into Redmoon squad. Strong against the 𝗂𝗏, strong against that 𝗬𝗫𝗃. And of course, Plague pressure, overexertion pressure is always a thing to deal with. So hey, down goes the 𝗂𝗃, so doesn't get to rely on that 𝗂𝗃 for this game. But okay, the bans are put to rest, so let's see how this team is going to be rounded out. As we said before, Talwinv just one game away for being crowned our champion here today. Does he do it in this game right here? Or does Redmoon not want to go down just so easy? Okay, the mixed 𝗵𝗺𝗺 do get recruited onto Talwinv squad. I mean, 𝗂𝗏 looking quite nice. That Nidrasil looking quite nice. I think those might be the picks for Redmoon. 𝗵𝗶𝗸, kind of nice against the Voldaren, but you already have physical with the 2-rock. You have an electric Thunderstrike with the 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶. So I don't know how much the 𝗵𝗶𝗸 is going to do unless you're looking for speed. And I think Redmoon might just be looking at maybe the Plague. Just like speed for the 𝗬𝗧𝗧 might be the way.
Yeah, potentially here. 𝗵𝗶𝗸 does get picked up last here. Mr. Redmoon probably contemplating what to pick up here. It does not feel good when you don't have to pick when you don't pick 𝗵𝗶𝗸 up, but honestly, the Nox is like still an option for Talwinv, and obviously the Toolkan was. It was just not going to be a good 𝗵𝗶𝗸 pickup for the most part. So playing without it this time, we'll have to see.
And there we go. And hey, interesting enough, we haven't seen a game without any Tokons. And hey, Tokon didn't get banned, but it looks like Talwinv did not elect to pick it up. Instead, goes with that Noxalado. So there we go. Noxalado representation here in the finals. But geez, every time we see this beautiful Luma, it's crazy. It just looks so different than the normal 𝗬𝗧𝗧, right? It looks completely different. Which makes it stand out so much. And you know, Blue, we always say it has slightly better stats, right?
It has, guys, listen, Lumas have better stats. That's why Luma Gaialis gets banned. Obviously, because of those bonus stats. I mean, Gaialis' stats are already good enough to begin with. Imagine getting bonus stats from being a Luma. That's pretty broken. So Talwinv definitely has the advantage there. But of course, even the Luma version can't eat a Plague into Noxious. So we'll be swapping in for that mix. We'll be taking that instead. So we'll follow through, actually. If Noxious Bomb drops the mix to under 40%, then you play right into Talwinv's hands here. And in fact, this might be the case, depending on how mix is spread. No, it doesn't, actually. The worst case scenario has happened on the mix. Mix is now in death range for the most part. Feather Gatling to follow through. Just chip damage. But favoring Mr. Redmoon this time. Mix did not fall into Puppet Master, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, beautiful stuff for Mr. Redmoon, starting off quite hot. Turn 2, which means 𝗧𝗺𝗺 will be online and the mix is trapped in. Where can the mix go? There is nowhere to run because of that handcuff on the 𝗬𝗶𝗴 with that Plague. So yeah, as you said before, above Puppet Master range. Puppet Master range would have been beautiful if it hit under 40%. But because it's above 40%, DV is able to target it, and DV will indeed take it all the way down. So Talwinv just looking to do a little something before going down so easy. Maybe a Crystal Spike, maybe an Energy Manipulation on the Voldaren could be the way to go, because those 3 prio techniques will be enough to outspeed the normal prio of 𝗧𝗺𝗺, so doesn't want to go out without anything to say for himself. So one of those 3 prio techniques could be going onto that Voldaren spot. And I think these Voldarens might just start working on each other. Feather Gatling onto each opposing board. Unless he wants to start working on the 𝗬𝗶𝗴, because 𝗬𝗶𝗴 does kind of check that the 𝗬𝗧𝗧𝗧, and it does kind of check the 𝗵𝗶𝗸 with those big DVs. So maybe that way, not too bad.
Turok does come in here, very safe pick, and in fact, Talwinv, perhaps not reading it, or perhaps just playing it safe. Oh, that's so smart! The HKS just protects the mix. That was so gigantic brain by Talwinv. He's like, you're not getting this kill, baby. But depending on Mr. Redmoon's 𝗬𝗶𝗴, if it has Sandstorm, that shouldn't matter too much. But goddamn, that was a smart play.
Yeah, damn indeed. Death's Door is exactly where Mix was finding himself at due to that 𝗧𝗺𝗺. However, HKS, we were just talking about 3 prio techniques. HKS is one of them. And you know, cutting it a bit close, finding that Mix at 15%. But Talwinv with that huge 5-head play, saving the Mix. And now it's a Puppet Master Mix. However, it is still trapped in. So I think Redmoon was just covering all his bases. Because with 2-rock swapping in on the swap last turn, that does guarantee 2-rock to have a rock fall, right? Almost every 2-rock runs a rock fall. So hey, Mix got away where, got away this time, but I don't think this, Rockfall is AoE. It covers everything. So Rockfall should be able to take it down, but at least Mix can get off a little energy manipulation to overexert the 𝗂𝗶𝗴 perhaps, or to just do, yeah, only the 𝗂𝗶𝗴 because of the chamomile. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, the big thing about this is that because the Mix is now alive for another turn, that's Rockfall that doesn't hit something else. Like, imagine if the Nox had to take that hit, or if the 𝗵𝗺 had to take that hit. That Rockfall is now wasted, or at least expended on the Mix, which is low, and will get another move off. At least the EM going to overexert the 𝗂𝗶𝗴 here, which is also going to be big in the long term. Volarant, of course, will have to rest here unless it wants to OX. Rockfall will be committed here for sure to get this kill. Toxic Plume actually committed, so overexertion now pretty much guaranteed. Attack down is decent, but with the chamomile, it's not going to really matter too much in the long term. So Rockfall comes down. Will pick off the Mix. Decent chunking on the Volarant, but in the end, was inevitable. But the attack down is important. We'll have to swap out the 𝗃 to get rid of that. And I don't think Mr Redmoon will be too sad about having to swap out here. The 𝗂𝗶𝗴 is OX anyway. Maybe a double swap is in the cards.
Yeah, not too bad. Good recognition for the side of Talwinv. Now that the 𝗂𝗶𝗴 overexerts, so that was a beautiful play. That EM overexerting the 𝗂𝗶𝗴 last turn. So going down with that overexertion on the 𝗂𝗶𝗴, not a bad way to go. That means 𝗧𝗲𝗺 is free as can be. 𝗃 is nowhere near fast enough to try to get anything off on this Amber, the 𝗧𝗲𝗺. So Aquatic Whirlwind looking devastating, looking deadly onto the Rockbird. However, Redmoon has some perfect options to swap into. 𝗧𝗫𝗀 or Volarant are really good ones.
𝗃 swapped out for that Volarant as expected. Now that the 𝗧𝗲𝗺 is exposed on the battlefield, 𝗃𝗺's Wrath will be committed to land that hit. Only onto the Volarant though. Unfortunately, does not do enough damage. And of course, 𝗂𝗶𝗴 will be avoiding that. So for the +1 special attack, decent, but Talwinv definitely not satisfied with that. I'm sure he expected some sort of swap in to come through, but still, unfortunate scenario here. Being a full Tem down. One of the higher damage Tems as well.
Yeah, one of the Temtems that could really put a hurting on the 𝗧𝗵𝗺 too. So now it's only up to that 𝗧𝗲𝗺 most likely. I mean, little toxic ticks will go a long way. 𝗧𝗵𝗺 can't generally recover without swapping in, swapping out because of the baton pass. So we'll see, if Volarant on Talwinv's side wasn't so low on stamina last turn, he could have maybe feather gatling the 𝗂𝗶𝗴 to, oh, wait a second, he is going for it. So Aquatic Whirlwind, the 𝗂𝗶𝗴 down to 8.9 plus the HKS. Man, Talwinv using HKS on anaerobic Volarants beautifully. You usually never see it on the anaerobic birds.
Absolutely, just committed to ensure 𝗂𝗶𝗴 doesn't see the light of day, and the 𝗧𝗲𝗺 almost follows the 𝗂𝗶𝗴 to the grave, but barely survives. 21% HP. It's not dead, but it's definitely 1 foot in the grave. And again, the 𝗃 -1 attack does nothing here. 𝗧𝗫𝗀 is still available in the back. If the 𝗧𝗲𝗺 dies, 𝗧𝗵𝗺 has a free game.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see. Mr Redmoon decided what to bring in here. I believe 𝗧𝗵𝗺 doesn't feel too bad, because if 𝗧𝗲𝗺 wants to stay in, it's gonna go down, which means that 𝗃 in the backline feels a whole lot better. Of course, Talwinv still has the 𝗵𝗺 for those plagues onto 𝗃, but 𝗧𝗲𝗺 was just looking to one-shot, and I know Talwinv most likely wants to preserve the 𝗧𝗲𝗺 for the 𝗧𝗵𝗺, for the 𝗃. So bringing in the 𝗧𝗵𝗺 now doesn't feel that bad, but okay, Redmoon thinking about something else, does decide to go with the 𝗧𝗫𝗀, so just the double toxic pressure, staring down that side. And I guess this covers everything as well. If you toxic ink into feather gatling on that 𝗧𝗲𝗺 side, that pretty much covers anything that could be swapping in. So fair enough to Redmoon. I think this is also a really good line of play for him.
Yeah, for sure. So 𝗧𝗲𝗺 will be swapped out here. And the question is, how do you kill this Noxolotl? I guess the Volarant will have to work overtime here to do so, but the trades gonna be favoring Redmoon here. The Feather Gatling doing a lot of damage. Feather Gatling trade, poke and prod. The trades are still not enough. The Toxic Ink not gonna do enough damage to force Trance. But again, how do you kill this Yggdrasil? I fail to see much option here from Talwinv, especially since the Volarend still has to kill the opposing Volarend on top of the Yggdrasil if it comes down to it. So this is looking a bit rough here.
Yeah, rough indeed, especially considering Talwinv's Volarend just overexerted, so it does have Matcha, able to recover a significant amount of stamina once he hits rest. But yeah, for this turn right now, not going to be able to get anything, and I dare say, I'm seeing it here, Feather Gatling into Narcoleptic hit. But wait a second, does he have the first aid kit is the question. So 4.8%.
Oh no, oh that regenerate as well. Going to ensure that the Volarend heals up here. The Matcha is nice, but oh, that heal is going to really slow down Talwinv's damage output here. And again, he's already lacking damage. Like he's already lost quite a bit of where his damage output is going to come from. So it doesn't help when the anaerobic Volarend just keeps healing.
Yeah, that's like the craziest little combo right there. Such a good play there for Redmoon. Healing up the anaerobic Volarend, which is usually the carry tank, right? The tank that never ever goes down. So adding a bit more HP, 30% to be exact, is going to do wonders for Redmoon. So just swapping it out on the back line to get those easy recoveries. And so does the 𝗧𝗏𝗺. So Mr. Redmoon potentially making a read. Actually, it's even. It's even since 𝗵𝗶𝗺 with the Plague. But Stone Ball should do a fair amount on the 𝗵𝗶𝗺 as well. And nice. So it doesn't get Toxic Ink. Instead gets the Narcoleptic hit, thinking the 𝗧𝗏𝗺 was going to stay in.
Absolutely. Narcoleptic hit being absorbed by that 𝗵𝗶𝗺. Not the worst. This is an okay board, but of course Toxic Ink will make sure that the Yggdrasil is not okay, and you know, Plague will have to do a lot of damage on this Turok, and with the Chamomile, it could just swap out straight up. Like, it's pretty protected, to be sure. Redmoon has a lot of options to hold here, and Talwinv just has to read this basically perfectly every time.
Yeah, he's definitely, as you mentioned, a little bit on the back foot here. Look at the HP differentials. Talwinv just one Temtem in the green, as opposed to Redmoon. All three Temtems are relatively healthy, two of those being absolutely 100% healthy. So little by little, I think Talwinv's Tems will be falling a bit here. He's running out of swap potential as well, so Redmoon could just keep focusing that left-hand spot, something like a Toxic Ink. But okay, the Plague, is it enough? Not just yet. 12%. And oh, the Volarend doesn't target the Turok though.
Yeah, that is probably the big mistake here from Talwinv. Potentially may have cost him the game, because that's the 𝗵𝗶𝗺 dead. And if the Turok was at least traded there, that could have been huge, but alas, not the case. Turok lives just barely as well.
Yeah, but hey, we can't blame Talwinv, because as you said earlier, how the heck is Talwinv dealing with Yggdrasil? So you might as well get damage where you can. And to be fair, maybe a Feather Gatling wouldn't have killed at 12.4%. So just playing it very safe, getting the damage where you can, as we said. But 𝗬𝗍𝗧 will be making its appearance one more time, and Hurry Wart triggering as it always does. So Aquatic Whirlwind is 100% online, which makes it a bit of that obvious read of Volarend coming in. And man, if only Blizzard wasn't one prio, that would make 𝗬𝗍𝗧 completely busted, because a Blizzard onto this Yggdrasil at +1 special attack would easily take it down. However, Yggdrasil should be able to outspeed it before something like a Blizzard would be able to get off. So we'll see. I mean, he has a game plan. 𝗬𝗍𝗧 trying to take out the bird, but it just might be catching this Volarend. It could be a bait though for Talwinv. He might just swap out the 𝗧𝗏𝗺 and force the Turok to swap out as well.
Yeah, this could definitely be a swap here from Mr. Redmoon, or just committing to the hit. I believe 𝗬𝗺𝗺's Wrath is also available. It's been a hot minute since we've seen that, and in fact it is. 𝗬𝗺𝗺's Wrath will be committed to trying to kill off as many attempts as possible, or at least inflict as much damage as possible, but corner damage on the 𝗬𝗺𝗺, basically peanuts to it. A Feather Gatling, though, gonna apply some more pressure, but does not kill. HKS is not used, and the Toxicate secures the kill on the 𝗬𝗺𝗺, and unfortunately that is another attempt down, and this is looking like a game 3 situation plus.
That's true, and no, wait, oh, actually, wait, you're right. I was thinking this was game 3 already, but you're absolutely right. Mr. Redmoon making a comeback, and yeah, you know what? For some reason, I am going a little bit crazy tonight. I, for some reason, thought it was game 3 already. But yeah, Redmoon is indeed looking nice. Final 3 Temtems, and that 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴 in the back line will be deciding it all, as well as the Voldaren. 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴, Voldaren, GG. They both take down the opposing Tems, so Feather Gatling bringing it down to 11.4. Acid Reflux just might get killed on this Omega, though. I'm pretty sure it will with the trance trait.
Yeah, absolutely. 𝗬𝗺𝗺 gets picked off. Not terrible. But again, there's still 3 Tems up, and this Voldaren is legit unkillable on the side of Redmoon. 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴 shows up with that half-full bonus. And again, there's no way to kill it, unfortunately, for the side of Talwinv. Or there is, but it'll be a while. And even if he gets the opportunity, Feather Gatling should secure the kill and knocks him off here, which it does. And now with the Voldaren, the only thing left standing here from Talwinv, we'll see how much damage it can do. Feather Gatling one more time, not quite yet. Thunderstrike should kill here for sure. There it goes. So we will be heading to a game 3.
That is right. So guys, GG. Mr. Redmoon will be making things interesting. A game 3 situation. Here we go, guys. And hey, you know, Blue, maybe this is the game that 𝗬𝗺𝗺 goes through. I don't think so, but hey, maybe game 3 is the way.
Oh, what a surprise. 𝗬𝗺𝗺 gets banned again. Oh, no. Well, I mean, to be expected. Once again, there's no way 𝗬𝗺𝗺 gets through, especially in this sort of build where half your team is countered by one man. Imagine if that man still had heat up. I mean, this game would be quite the funny one.
Yeah, and the 𝗬𝗺𝗺𝗫 as well, doing such a number on Wolfie on the Turok, man. Yeah, I mean, RIP the old 𝗬𝗺𝗺, still such a good Temtem now, but man, he was absolutely broken in the past. Well, let's see.
Man,
so
just give him sharp thing. Yeah, for sure.
We'll see. It looks like both of the birds are once again the staple picks for both of these tamers. So Voldaren and Wolfie feeling like the most safest picks against the counter pick that Talwinv now has. And I think it's very good. He doesn't really have a direct counter, but he does decide on the Tokon. So trying to get those fiery souls. And I believe this Tokon was the heater trait for Talwinv. So, you know, as we always say, that 30% mitigation due to those ticks of burn. So that Plague / Feather Gatling isn't going to be doing all that much, or Plague into Noxious Bomb rather, to start increasing the special defense. So not too bad. I think that counter pick always favoring that blue side, so well done to Talwinv. But now he might have both of his Lumas taken away. 𝗬𝗺𝗺𝗺. Wait a second. Redmoon might be gunning down this Noxalado. Does he feel like he has answers to 𝗬𝗺𝗺𝗺? He does have Ninja Soul, and of course, the Wolfie one more time will receive the ban.
Yeah, Wolfie getting removed here is gigantic. Removes a lot of options that Talwinv has to combat this. And yeah, I mean, Mr. Redmoon probably found his most secure opening in this series at least. The Voldaren Wolfie, very hard to deal with. I mean, there's not really much Talwinv can do to stop it as well. And yeah, the banning of the Turok as well. So Mix is only contested by 𝗧𝗵𝗶 when it's in Puppet Master right now.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's pretty good into the 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗺, decently good into 𝗧𝗏𝗧. So yeah, if Talwinv is able to squeeze it into Puppet Master, and we saw him execute it earlier in game number 1 in the craziest fashion with that HKS, so maybe he pulls something out of his hat like that. But we'll see. The stars do have to align for things like that, because maybe Mix just goes into Puppet Master range regardless, because he was at 45, so generally kind of close. But okay, it's always a good day when we see a 𝗧𝗏𝗺𝗀 getting recruited. So here we go, guys. Last game of the night. Everything gets decided right here, right now. We will have a new champion. Maybe not a new champion if Talwinv, of course, wins it. But still, Talwinv, Mr. Redmoon trying to fight it out till the bitter end. We have a game 3 situation. Who's going to take it? Let's go ahead and find out, of course. Volarant, Tok-On versus that 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 matchup. So let's see what this turn 1 is looking like so far.
Let's go! This is going to be spicy because there are fire attempts in this game. Tok-On on both sides. And I'm interested to know. Yeah. Oh.
You know, Blue. I misspoke. It looks like it was Redmoon with the heater one. Talwinv doesn't have heater, so this is a Pyromaniac one. So he's gonna have to rely on those fiery souls for that damage mitigation. So he just might be looking at this 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. A fiery soul into Feather Gatling. We saw it take it down into the 30 percentile, so could do that. But Redmoon also has a potential trap on the Tok-On into DV. But I don't know if that's going to work out, because if you go Fiery Soul Feather Gatling, I don't think 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is able to get off a Dust Vortex. So that's something Redmoon has to consider. How can he combat that? I mean, he can't swap into one of those Nature Temtems. It almost has to swap into that Tok-On, but on that turn 2, Tok-On isn't going to do any much. But oh, Fiery Soul onto the Volarant instead. This is interesting.
Damage reduction is big. It will stop a lot of the trade potential here, but the Plague will keep the Tok-On in, and that doesn't feel very good, especially when you still have a 𝗵𝗶𝗏𝗏𝗏 available against it. Tok-On taking so much chip damage here, actually, despite the heater. For the Gatling, we'll see if it trades in kind, and it does. Actually does way more than in kind. More in favor, rather than the side of Talwinv. So good turn 1 start, but it's looking like a slow turn 1 play. We'll have to see if the turn 2 continues like this.
Yeah, we'll see. I was thinking he would gun down the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 first, but completely disregarding the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 for the time being. I guess he has a 𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 to try to do big damage on the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 later on. So fair enough, gunning down that Volarant first. That way the 𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is able to get away decently better. I mean, you still have to deal with the Tok-On. But either way, forcing out that Volarant. In comes the Tok-On. So we'll see. This Tok-On on the side of Talwinv is trapped in, so has to deal with something like a big Dust Vortex. So Fiery Soul only doing about 20% there.
HKS going to be shock absorbed by this Tok-On as well. Look at how much it just ate the Dust Vortex, shrinking the opposing Tok-On here. This is the Pyromaniac one from the Talwinv side. And Talwinv about to drop a full Temtem here with no trade in sight, in recompense either. There's actually just no way. This Volarant, yes, is at 38.4% HP on Mr. Redmoon, but it's an anaerobic Volarant. It's not like 38% is, you know, like a one-shot range. I mean, it's probably going to live another 4 or 5 hits at that position. So Mr. Redmoon very comfortably in the lead now as this Tok-On about to go down. It has to commit, and it does. Tornado onto the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. See, to do as much damage as possible. Does 40%, but it is inevitably dead here. Tornado committed to that trade and will secure that kill. This 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, on the other hand, will probably forcibly make this Volarant overexert, and it does. So minus the exhaustion as well, punishing this Volarant. Actually just gonna rest. So reading that it was going to happen. Matcha once again showing how balanced it is. That is the word I'd like to use on the Volarant. The matchup. Balanced.
I mean, you do have to rest, but I mean, in those turns where you rest regardless, it does feel a little bit busted. Look at that stamina. He was just hanging out about in the single digits of stamina. all the way back up to 86.5% in sanity. However, Voldemort finds themselves trapped in. But alright, Talwinv feeling confident bringing out this 𝗵𝗻𝗃, even though this Tokon staring him down does have stamina to work with. So those fiery souls we saw in the past looking quite speedy. Actually, no, it was Talwinv's Tokon that was speedier. So you know what? Maybe Talwinv feels that overall his team is naturally faster. And of course, when I say naturally, I don't mean, you know, the base stats. I just mean TV train faster than his opponent's team. So can this Thunderstrike go off before a Fiery Soul is the question. Most Tokons spec for this, right? I believe you got to go really invested, like 200 to 300 speed TVs on the Tokon in order to outspeed with the Fiery Soul. Does Mr. Redmoon have that investment? Or does he never think a pure, fast, max speed 𝗵𝗻𝗃 exists? Because, you know, going max speed on any Temtem is not too common, but a lot of people still TV train it that way just in case.
Joke's on you, this 𝗵𝗻𝗃 is at max speed plus. It's never getting outsped, baby. We'll have to see for sure. I mean that will be the play here. Mr. Redmoon, I think he's doing the math in his head. Is if he commits for this kill and the 𝗵𝗻𝗃 is faster, he suddenly loses that Tolkien lead, right? He's a full Temtem up. So the best play would be to swap in for that Ninjasil, which will guarantee not die against this Voldemort 𝗵𝗻𝗃 opening, and you have a turn potential next turn tempo on Talwinv. Yeah, and I think that's probably the play he's considering.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, with that in mind, maybe he doesn't want to go for a Thunderstrike because a Thunderstrike on Ninjasil won't do too much. So maybe just a good Plague onto 𝗂𝗶𝗏 might be the better read. But of course, this is where the mind games come in. If Redmoon says, you know what, I feel very confident that Talwinv is going to Plague my 𝗂𝗏 expecting me to swap, how about we don't swap? How about we just go for a big fire tornado on the 𝗵𝗻𝗃? So, you know, Talwinv just might have to keep it straightforward. Like I said, this is where those mind games come into play. Does he Thunderstrike? Does he go into Ninjasil? Or does he just want to get some good damage? Let's see what these tamers decided.
Oh, it's so fast!
Everything stays in!
Oh my god, the Tolkien kill is huge! Absolutely ginormous! Noxious Bomb to follow through as well. That 𝗂𝗏 is going to get punished. Just some chip damage to go his way. But what a kill! Does Vortex just to pressure the 𝗵𝗻𝗃, but 𝗵𝗻𝗃 says, fine, I don't care. I'll take that hit. Your Tolkien is dead! And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and that was a drastic overexertion on the 𝗂𝗏, so much so that a little Feather Gatling, Noxious Bomb, or Plague will take it all the way home, and he's already overexerted, so there's nothing he can do about it. But now the Ninjasil comes in, but hey, I gotta respect the tenacity on Mr. Redmoon. He just tried to call the bluff there, trying to say, you know what, Talwinv isn't gonna Thunderstrike into my Ninjasil. That is such an obvious play, super obvious of my Ninjasil to come in here. But hey, Talwinv did not care. He kept things straightforward, just like you would otherwise. Just a good Thunderstrike. And more impressively, as you said, Blue, it was faster. Fiery Soul being 3 priority, Thunderstrike being normal priority. So Fiery Soul had the 50% edge. And that just goes to show you the potential of the fastest Temtem in the game, which is indeed 𝗵𝗻𝗃, of course. But he is trapped in there now.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. The 𝗵𝗻𝗃 now trapped in, so Toxic is gonna definitely apply some chip damage. But that the huge hurdle is over, right? And then the 𝗂𝗏 is already so low. And the reason why I'm so, you know, I was so surprised that the Tolkien stayed in, or at least tried to commit for that, was, again, if once that Tolkien dies, you walk into this blunder. 𝗂𝗏 is now basically on death's row, and there is some consolidation happening here. Bright Beam as well, protecting the 𝗵𝗻𝗃. Feather Gatling to chip through on the Ninjasil. Toxic completely blocked. And this is rough.
Yeah, we'll see. So, okay, Bright Beam, as you said, does not let that Toxin connect onto itself. So, able to switch out now into something like that Mix or the Noxolotl. With Redmoon's Voldaren being on the board, maybe the Mix feeling slightly more comfortable there. And not for damage sakes, but damage mitigation sakes. We'll see. I mean, that allergic spread, Lumen in the background does get the better of that Mix. So we'll see decently even here, but Talwinv, as we can tell on the scoreboard, does have that HP advantage. Two of his Temtems way healthier than those opposing two Temtems. So Redmoon looking to make things looking to come back on some things against Talwinv. Can he get the job done? We'll see. Maybe 𝗵𝗶𝗆 wants to stay in, but no, it does not. No Thunder Strikes on the opposing Voldaren. Instead, it will be that Mix, as we pointed out.
For sure. Feather Gatling chipping away at the opposing Voldaren, but the 1-for-1 trade is not favoring Redmoon. In fact, Voldaren nearly dies for that trade. Toxic King to chip away at the Mix, but that is not going to be enough. Mr Redmoon, he doesn't even go for it. He concedes. Talwinv just takes it. He knows. He knows when that tool count went down. The match was.